それでは、ただいまよりソーシャルインパクト全国英語スピーチコンテスト2025春の本選を開催いたします。本日は、多くの皆様にご来場いただきまして誠にありがとうございます。私は本コンテストの代表を務めます萩原純奈と申します。本日は進行を担当いたしますので、どうぞよろしくお願い申し上げます。本日私どもが主催させていただくスピーチコンテストは、社会課題に対する自分なりの解決策や意見を英語で発表する機会を設け、国際化社会に通用する思考力と英語表現能力向上の目的を持ちます。そしてこの度100名を超える大変多くの生徒にご応募いただきました。応募書類をもとに本当に厳正な審査を行いました結果、ファイナリスト8名を決定し、本選を本日開催する運びとなりました。このソーシャルインパクト全国英語スピーチコンテストが皆様にとって有意義なものになりますことを記念いたしまして、開会の挨拶に変えさせていただきます。それでは本日ですね、本スピーチコンテストの審査員をご紹介いたします。1人目の審査員は松田祐介さんです。松田祐介さん、ご起立ください。松田祐介先生は本スピーチコンテストスポンサーのクリムゾンエデュケーション代表を務めておりまして、ハーバード、スタンフォードの大学院をご卒業後、海外大学進学支援を中心に活動をされている社会起業家です。松田先生、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。2人目の審査員は井上沙羅さんです。井上沙羅さん、ご起立ください。井上沙羅先生もハーバード大学院ご卒業後、教育業界でご活躍をされており、現在はカルバリー・イングリッシュスクールのディレクターを務めていらっしゃいます。また、幼少期より数多くのスピーチコンテストに参加されてきました。第62回高円宮杯全国中学校英語弁論大会全国優勝、ホノルル市長杯全日本英語弁論大会優勝、東京大学 ESS 英語弁論大会優勝と、数多くの大会で優勝経験のある経験豊かな審査員です。井上沙羅さん、本日はどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。3人目の審査員は平田真紀子先生です。真紀子先生は現在アメリカからオンラインでご参加をいただいております。そうですね、真紀子先生はドクターピアニストとしても知られる、音楽の力で癒しと団結を目指す世界的ピアニストです。ジュリアード音楽院に13歳で入学し、ライス大学で音楽博士号 Doctor of Musical Arts を取得されております。現在はスタンフォード大学国際異文化教育プログラムスパイスの講師およびコルバン音楽院スタッフピアニストを務めております。また、オーロラ日本語奨学金基金が開催するスピーチコンテストの理事としてもご活躍をされております。真紀子先生、本日はどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。それでは審査員より開会の挨拶としまして、本日は沙羅先生より皆様にご挨拶がございます。沙羅先生、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Congratulations to students for making it all the way here. This is not only a testament to your English abilities, but also your social awareness, your passion, and your impact on other students. When I was around your age, I also participated in a few English speech competitions. And I also always used to think, oh, you judges, you must have it so easy. You're sitting there, and then I have to memorize all my speeches. So I feel you. I feel how you feel. So today, before your speeches, I would like to talk about a couple of things that really helped me when I was sitting in your seat, like today. The first thing that really helped me was breathing. Did you know that breathing out makes you more relaxed than breathing in? So when you wait for your speech, it's very important that you breathe out longer than you breathe in. Okay? So let's try it together. And parents, you guys can do it too. Breathe in for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Stop. And breathe out for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Stop. And breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Better? Keep doing that. The second thing, this is something that a judge, when I was performing, told me, and it really helped me. That was, when you sit there today, cheer for your friends. Really listen, enjoy, and cheer for the other contestants who are performing before and after you. And then you know that when you are performing, they are cheering for you, and it will make you more relaxed and happy when you perform. And finally, please know that we judges here are all educators. Ed, Makiko-san, and I are all educators who are very excited to hear your speeches. We are not kawaii people. We are very excited to hear your ideas and get inspired by your speeches today. So once again, congratulations on your great achievement. Enjoy, take a deep breath, and best of luck to all of you. Congratulations.
サラ先生、素晴らしいご挨拶をありがとうございました。それでは早速ですけれども、コンテスト規則のご案内を申し上げます。諸注意についてご説明を申し上げます。コンテストに先立ち、すべての出場者は規則説明を受けております。スピーチを行う場所の範囲につきましては、審査員およびすべての出場者に周知をされております。また、スピーチ時間の表示方法および表示場所につきましても、すべての出場者に周知されております。なお、各出場者につきましては、制限時間5分以内のスピーチをお願いしております。制限時間、30秒前になりましたらタイムキーパーがベルを一度鳴らします。また5分間経過と同時にベルが2度鳴るようになっております。制限時間を超えてもスピーチの中断は行いませんが、審査に影響する場合がございます。またスピーチ後は質疑応答が3分間ほどございます。スピーチの直後に審査員より 1,2 問の質問があり、その場でお答えいただきます。3分ほど経過しましたらタイムキーパーが、お知らせをいたします。その後ですね、1分間の審査時間を設けます。1分が経過しましたら、タイムキーパーがベルを2度鳴らします。なお、会場の皆様におかれましては、審査時間中は静粛にお願いいたします。なお、会場内での移動、会場への入退出はご遠慮ください。やむを得ず移動される場合は、スピーチとスピーチの間の時間をご利用ください。また、会場の皆様も、ファイナリストのスピーチのコメント送付が可能です。コメントシートはお手元のパンフレットの一番後ろのページですね、QR コードよりアクセスいただけます。オンライン視聴の方におかれましてはチャットをご覧ください。ぜひ各スピーチへのコメントを記入し、各スピーチに対してご提出いただければと思います。最後にですね、重ねてにはなりますが、アラームでしたり携帯電話につきましては音の鳴らないモードまたは電源オフに設定していただきますようお願い申し上げます。ご確認のほどよろしくお願いいたします。それでは本日スピーチをされる8名の出場者の方のお名前とスピーチの順番をご紹介いたします。1番目のスピーカーは柳瀬健人さん、2番目のスピーカーは慶正七海さん、3番目のスピーカーは谷遥さん、4番目のスピーカーはチェン・ニコルさん、5番目のスピーカーは菅原香南さん、6番目のスピーカーは矢島光健さん、7番目のスピーカーは青島澄香さん、8番目のスピーカーは長谷川理子さんです。以上8名の皆様です。それでは 早速ですけれども、最初のスピーカーをご案内申し上げます。最初のスピーカーは柳瀬健人さんです。スピーチタイトルは Breaking Barriers, Building Bridges, The Power of Inclusive Debate です。健人、柳瀬、you may come up to the stage and begin.
Yes. Good morning. Okay. Morning. Okay, I'll start. One day, my classmate seemed distraught, and suddenly she came up to me and said, "Kento, I will quit debate." Surprised, I couldn't help but look back at her and ask, "Why?" Disappointed, she looked back at me and claimed, "The club members did not give me any support to enjoy debating." For years, the English debate club in my school was dominated by returnees or native English speakers. It almost totally excluded Japanese-speaking students like her. With almost no support to bridge their language gap. These students were deprived of their opportunities to debate global issues. This exclusion was not only unfair, it was a failure to nurture global citizens. So, I went home and asked myself, what should I do to change this? And my solution, a compelling solution I came up with, was to establish the Modern United Nations Club. Unlike debate, Modern UN was not just about arguing, but about connection, diplomacy, and problem solving. A unique domestic competition held in both English and Japanese, the club offered precious opportunities for both English and Japanese-speaking students to work together, become world leaders, and solve practical issues. And through active recruitment, surprisingly, 5 junior and 10 high school students became part of our Model UN family. Along the way, it became more than just a club. It became a bridge between your school's 2 language communities. This initiative aligns with SDG Goal 4, Target 4.7, which calls for education to promote global citizenship. One of the main obstacles to international cooperation is the failure to consider viewpoints from the less developed world. For instance, according to Reuters, African nations representing 18% of the total population only holds 6.5% of voting rights in the IMF. Just as Japanese-speaking students were ignored from the debate club's interests, the representatives from those nations are hindered from expressing their concerns. Model UN, however, solves this by offering a place where conflicting views are valued and heard. Debating as representatives from foreign nations teaches students how to negotiate international affairs in varying ways. Such an experience prepares them with the skills to succeed in a more globalized world. And you know what? This is just the beginning. By the end of this school year, I aim to extend this effort by holding a school-wide mock Model UN session where every student, regardless of their language background, can engage in discussions that determine our world. It ensures the long-term opportunities for students to acquire diplomatic and negotiation skills remain accessible. The more they engage in these discussions, the more they'll learn to see the world not as divided by language, but as communities working toward shared goals. In the end, Model UN is more than a competition. It is a breakthrough for a more inclusive society. And by giving students access to different viewpoints and negotiation skills, we are preparing them to succeed as leaders. The members of the Model UN can grow to become community leaders and contribute on a national level and eventually become world leaders who take the initiative to provide hope to millions. This is how we break walls. This is how we unite people. And this is how we create a world that listens to everyone. Thank you very much.
ございました。それでは審査員からの質疑応答に入ります。The Q&A begins now. Sarah, I will pass the mic to you.
Thank you, Kento, for giving such an important speech and for talking about something that you've been working on for a long time and putting in a lot of effort into. As a starting point, you said that you met a girl who had difficulty communicating her thoughts in the debate club and ultimately ended up quitting the club, and you made Model UN Club to support students like her. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more specifically about how you support students like her having difficulty speaking herself in English.
Yes, while I'm managing the Model UN, the activities are mainly run in Japanese to ensure that both returnees and Japanese-speaking students can participate. And Model UN is a very difficult, complicated activity, and you need speech skills, negotiation skills. So it also means that it gives a sense of flexibility to the activity. For example, you can do speeches in English to support these Japanese students' English skills. And since, although I'm a returnee, I can support both English and Japanese, it allows these students to come in more easily to ensure that both of these students, regardless of their language barriers, will be able to participate.
Thank you. I love the scaffolding that you give them. Another question, we have 3 minutes, yeah? Okay. Another question is, one sentence really struck me when you said the Model UN Club became a bridge between the two language community in your school. Can you tell us how that happened?
Yes. It is a breakthrough because Model UN didn't originally exist. It was in the English club. To explain, we have an English club, and originally we had this debate branch where English club was originally meant for all students to participate, but the debate club became a place for returnees. However, the fact that I was able to establish this Model United Nations branch within the English club meant that regardless of people's language abilities, regardless of whether they are good at English or not, they will be able to participate in both branches. Meaning that I was able to create an opportunities for, regardless of returnees, they're able to participate to enhance their English levels. And in that sense, I was able to create a bridge between the language communities, both English and Japanese speaking students.
Thank you. Last question. What were the biggest challenges that you faced? Only one's fine, but when you were building your own club?
To be honest, I didn't face that much of a challenge. That was because my club teacher, the English club teacher, was very supportive of my initiative. This was because she also thought that the fact that Japanese students were not in the English club was an issue. So she was very supportive of my plans. And after only a few months, this plan became a success. And I'm looking forward to leading all my MUN members in the future. Thank you.
Good job on your accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you.
ありがとうございました。それではここで1分間の審査時間を設けますので、審査員の皆様はジャッジシートのコンプリートをよろしくお願いいたします。Judges, please complete the judge sheet. You have 1 minute. それでは2番目のスピーカーを、ご案内申し上げます。2番目のスピーカーは慶尚七海さんです。スピーチタイトルは The Lives We Leave Unspoken です。七海慶尚、you may come up to the stage and begin.
Yeah, thank you. Hello. I was 10 years old when I first considered suicide. My life was falling apart, and if it weren't for my therapist, I would not be here today. This close encounter I had with death had sparked my passion for this grave issue, and it breaks my heart to say that there were teenagers out there killing themselves when they could have been saved. 740,000. That's the number of people who die by suicide every year worldwide. If we calculate this, that's one person dead every 43 seconds. By the end of my speech, 7 people would be dead. And by the end of today, another 2,009 lives will have perished. But what terrifies me are not these cataclysmic numbers, but just how easily we could become a number in that statistic. Imagine you wake up and you hear that your best friend had killed themselves during the night. How would you feel? Overwhelming grief? Fear? Loneliness? Imagine that every day the families of 2,009 people feel the same way. Research by the Centers for Disease Control in 2024 stated that suicide was the 3rd leading cause of death among adolescents ages 15 to 19. Japan's Health and Welfare Ministry reported 594 suicides among school children from the elementary to the high school level. This figure exceeded the previous record of 514 suicides in 2022. These are kids our age losing their will to live. This is unacceptable. I refuse to do nothing while thousands fall victim to suicide every day. So here I am fighting for change because nothing has changed. I stand here to be the voice to those who were silenced too early. But I also stand here because I know there is hope. For the past 4 years, I have researched about psychology, wondering if there's a better, more reliable way to solve this crisis. And after countless hours comparing my ideas to ones already in action, I think I finally found the most plausible solution. I lived in New York for 6 years, and during my time there, we had something called wellness classes starting from 4th grade. In those wellness classes, we learned mindfulness, including breathing and yoga, as well as lectures time to time on what to do if we think a fellow classmate or family member is feeling suicidal. This class helped me out tremendously during my struggles, and I still use some of the techniques I learned to this day. I strongly believe that this type of class should be implemented here in Japan as well, and there's data to support this. The National Library of Medicine states that mindfulness is a very powerful technique in reducing stress levels and suicidal thoughts among students. PhD holder Dr. Marcia M. Lyhan also emphasized greatly in her interview on the importance of communication. Communication is the best cure for this crisis. What enrages me, though, is how Japan's Health, Labor, and Welfare Department stated that they were educating our teachers on the importance of spreading awareness about this issue to students, and how I've never heard a single teacher teach us anything on this topic. The implementation of this class is one way of making sure that actually happens. And to answer the question, well, how are we going to do it? We have a mandatory class called Dotoku once a week, right? If we can implement wellness lessons, let's say once a month during that class, we might be able to see real progress on this issue. Now, look, I understand that solving this crisis will be no easy feat, but that should be no excuse for leaving students' lives, our own lives, at stake. If our governments and care organizations cannot save lives, then we must take the first step. For the past 3 years, I have used speeches as a tool to raise awareness about this issue in my class. You guys can do that too. I believe that even though just talking about it may not seem as big of a step as actually being able to take action, I am positive that if we can remind more and more students and adults on the edginess of this situation, we can spark a chain reaction and hopefully start a revolution powerful enough to remind our principals, our superintendents, and the government that this problem must be solved. If you want to keep on feeling the embrace of your family, if you want to see your friends alive, and if you can't stand hearing any more of this absolute terror, welcome to the team. We will start the chain reaction. Let's create a world where children our age live on and smile. Let's create a world where we can all live together in harmony and stay alive. Let's save our dear friends, one life at a time, together. Thank you.
ありがとうございました。それでは審査員からの質疑応答に入ります。The Q&A begins now. Ed, I will pass the mic to you.
Thank you very much. I also had the similar experience when I was 14 years old, so I really hear you, and it really struck me that you're trying to take action. I have two questions. One will be, why do you think this important matter is not taken seriously in the school environment?
Okay, so what I think is that, you see, in America, for instance, where we do have wellness classes, there's lots of gun violence these days, right? And because of gun violence, there are so many children and the families of these children that have been suffering through lots of mental trauma. And I think because of this situation that they are in right now, mental health and wellness has become such a big part of America's culture that we need to save these people, that we need to lower the levels of stresses that these people face. Now, in Japan, we don't have gun violence. We don't have much of that. And I think, although, yes, I am very happy that we don't have this, gun violence in Japan, I think that's another reason why Japan doesn't take mental health so seriously. And I think that's why the rates are rising in Japan as of right now.
Okay, great, thank you. So given that there's not that of a high sense of urgency in the school environment, it might be hard to implement change in the curriculum. So if so, what would your idea be to take action outside of school, outside of the system? Do you have any ideas to start?
So what I was thinking was there have been so many organizations on social media just raising awareness about this issue. But I also felt like that wasn't really changing anything because this has been going on for 10, 20 years and it's not solving anything. So what I was hoping was that by using speeches and by using this technique to remind everyone in the school system about the urgency of this issue, we can spread that to our own families, our other friends outside of school, our other families outside of school, and try to remind them so that we can have this whole entire community fighting for this change to occur. So that is my hope for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
ありがとうございました。それではここで1分間の審査時間を設けます。Judges, please complete the judge sheet. You have 1 minute.
Thank
それでは3番目のスピーカーは谷遥さんです。スピーチタイトルは Big Dreams, Small Steps です。遥谷、you may come up to the stage and begin.
Yes, thank you. A radius of 5 meters is all it takes to spark real change. This is a phrase someone I inspire shared with me last summer. I want to alleviate poverty in Afghanistan, I want to support homeless people in Germany. I even want to provide a place for children in Japan who can't attend school. Whenever someone asks me, "What do you want to do in the future? What problems do you want to solve now?" I would always respond vaguely like this. From a small age, I had dreamed of solving these grand aspirations, but I knew deep down that such monumental tasks couldn't be tackled that easily by myself. Then, I came across these words, and it felt like my world instantly became more manageable. So, I looked around. As I walked to school, I spotted rows of bright red cones. These cones were placed by the Ministry of Land, not for construction, but to prevent the homeless people from sleeping there. I believe that simply placing these cones and displacing these homeless people somewhere else doesn't solve the underlying problem. Around this area, there are no facilities to support the homeless, and the only soup kitchen is held once a week, a place very far away from here. Soon, I began asking myself, what can I, as a middle school student, do to combat this problem? The more I thought about it, the more determined I became to find a way to make a difference. Initially, I was planning to volunteer at a soup kitchen, but I realized that as a 15-year-old, I might not be able to contribute in a meaningful way. Then, an idea came up to my mind. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could help someone out with my hobby, knitting? I decided to hand knit hats and donate them to the homeless people through a support organization. When I proposed this idea to the Tokyo office of an organization, they were actually very supportive. Since yarn is expensive, I asked for donations at school, and many people generously responded. With the help of my classmates, I knitted around 10 hats and donated them to a support organization during a Christmas event. The response from the homeless individuals were heartwarming. They were genuinely happy to receive the hats. Now, when someone asks me about my future aspirations, my response is somewhat different. Yes, I still dream of alleviating the poverty in Afghanistan, helping the homeless in Germany, or making new places for children in Japan. However, I have come to learn that these great aspirations are built on the small everyday efforts we make to bring joy and love within our own community. That is why I want to continue using my creativity skills to fill out gaps in our local community. An idea I am especially passionate about is making a local knitting club where we can make toys or hats and donate them to the people who need it. In the end, creating joy within the 5-meter radius not only changes the world around us, but also changes our own perspective. It teaches us that even small action counts, and that by focusing on this present moment, we can contribute to a bigger effect to the society. As I walk on through my journey, I carry this wisdom with me, while striving to create a better world, starting with the 5 meters around me. Thank you.
ありがとうございました。それでは審査員からの質疑応答に入ります。The Q&A begins now. マキコ先生、please unmute and I will pass the mic to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, Haruka-san. Thank you very much. Your message of love thy neighbor is really, really heartwarming. You sort of dismissed the idea of volunteering at soup kitchen as a 15-year-old as not a meaningful contribution. But knitting a hat for homeless people, I assume, is more meaningful. You decided.
Yes.
What is the difference between knitting hats for homeless people to serving at the soup kitchen, in your opinion?
Thank you for the question. So, I believe I asked an organization what it was like volunteering at a soup kitchen, and they required me to like hold heavy things and bring it to places as well. And like soup kitchen requires us to make big meals, so it requires a lot of strength, and that is something I don't have as like a teenager. So, and knitting hats was one of my hobbies, and it was also fun to make it, so that is why I thought it was more meaningful.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And what is the one thing, if you can tell us, that you learned from giving these hats to the homeless people at the Christmas event?
Yes, I learned that like donating things, although like money and like donations are meaningful, I learned that also like if someone makes something, it is also really meaningful, because one like homeless person I talked to told me that it was their first time getting these hats that were knitted, and they were really happy to get like the feeling from me, and so that is why I think it is really meaningful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ありがとうございました。はい、それではここで1分間の審査時間を設けます。Judges, please complete the judge sheet. You have 1 minute. 4番目のスピーカーはチェン・ニコルさんです。スピーチタイトルは Who Told You I Couldn't? です。Nicole Chen, you may come up to the stage and begin.
Hello. Dear friends, today I'm standing here because I believe in a world that is fair. I believe in a world where your gender does not define your opportunities, where who you are is more important than the weight of expectations placed upon you. When I was in 2nd grade, I wanted to be the group leader of an art project. I was excited, and I had many ideas to share with everyone. But instead of being called cool and confident like the boys were, I was called bossy and annoying. And I might have been, but I sensed this sort of pattern coming up. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the weight of expectations. And I'm also very fortunate and very privileged to live in an environment in which I have bright opportunities regardless of my gender. But so many people do not. This is why we should take advantage of our privilege. Because gender inequality affects everyone. It affects the girl who is told to speak less and smile more. It affects the boy who is told that showing emotions makes him weak and vulnerable. It affects the woman who just wants to be paid the same amount as her male counterparts. It affects the people who do not fit into society's narrow definition of gender, who feel invisible because people do not want to acknowledge their presence for who they are. The most frustrating part is that too many people think that this is not their fight. Too many people think that this is not their problem to care about. Well, guess what? It is. Even for us, for the new generation, for the younger people, it is our problem. It is our fight because it reshapes our future. The United Nations proposed SDG number 5, which is gender equality. By 2030, we'll have proposed to fix the gender wage gap, to increase female leadership, and to get rid of outdated stereotypes. But it's 2025 already, and I truly believe that we are not moving fast enough. Japan, a country that we love and thrive in, is still facing significant gender issues to this day. The gender wage gap is less than 22%, which is the highest among OECD countries, and also the rate of female leadership is 15% in companies and as well as the government. Japan has a responsibility to change this, and so do we, the citizens, the people living here. So if we act now, we can set a better example for the world, because it's our problem, even as young people. It redefines our future, like I said, our society, our school life, and even our everyday lives too. We as adolescents need to spread the change. And so how can we do this? Well, for example, we can spread awareness throughout many ways, such as social media and such as school presentations, and we can spread what we know about this. And everything we spread is going one step closer to solving this issue. We as adolescents need to spread this, no matter how small the deed may seem. Well, we can always educate others, because I believe that no matter how little we do and minor it may seem, we can always teach others about this problem, and it'll get one step closer to achieving it. We are bright, young, and challenging. We should change all stereotypes that we feel are ridiculous. And I truly believe that we can manage to happen and to have this happen. I believe with all my heart that we can achieve a gender equality, and I will fight for this, because who told you that I couldn't? I also want to create this gender awareness program, a blog where people and all kids of all genders can talk about and can learn more and have a deeper knowledge about this issue. Today I speak up louder, not only for myself, but for every kid out there who's ever been told to shrink. And I hope you'll do too. Thank you.
ありがとうございました。それでは審査員からの質疑応答に入ります。The Q&A begins now. Sarah, I will pass the mic to you.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for your important speech.
Thank you.
I have two questions. The first is, you mentioned that you would run an awareness program.
Yes.
And when I was thinking about this issue, I feel like the issue lies in people who don't seek these awareness programs, who don't realize that they have these stereotypes. How do you plan on reaching those people with your programs?
Well, I plan on it revolving around my school at first, because I feel like there's many kids who really just don't even understand that this sort of problem exists. So I'm part of this club. It's called the Junior Red Cross, and we sort of spread awareness about all sorts of situations, from climate change and to like gender issues, for example. So I plan on running it on the school website and sort of teaching everyone and giving out speeches too to all the kids in my class.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My second question. In the US, sometimes people who advocate for women's rights are seen to be like aggressive or warriors, right?
Yeah.
And that sometimes make the receiving part defensive or even like aggressive on their own part. How do you think we can change that? Or what are things that you could do to reduce that?
I feel like in the US, like people perceive those kind of people as man haters, like, you know, people who believe that women should be higher than men, and I don't want to encourage that sort of thought. So, like I said in my speech, boys even face issues against this problem too. So I want to speak out about that as well as the things that girls face. So, yeah, I plan on spreading that sort of awareness to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ありがとうございました。それではここで1分間の審査時間を設けます。Judges, please complete the judge sheet. You have 1 minute.
Thank
それでは5番目のスピーカーは菅原香音さんです。スピーチタイトルは Food Waste in Japanese Schools です。香音菅原、you may come up to the stage and begin.
Okay, thank you. Have you ever wondered what happens to the leftover food in Japanese schools? In my school, we have a cafeteria-based system where you can buy your lunch from the many options. I always picked the first bread I saw in the sea of food. But at some point in my school life, I began to wonder, what happens to all of the leftover food? What happens to all of the bread that wasn't bought? What happens to all of the rice bowls, the sandwiches, the remains from countless bentos? The truth is, most of these perfectly good foods are discarded. Food waste is a global crisis that demands decisive action, and I believe that we can make a change, starting with our school lunches. According to a study conducted by the Ministry of the Environment, an estimated 17 kilograms worth of food waste is generated per student per year. 17 kilograms. That is 15 days worth of food for one person. Think about it. Food waste is unarguably a waste, but let me remind you of what the term waste means again. An unnecessary and wrong use of sustenance and ability. Why are we actively doing something that is so unnecessary and so wrong? Of course, there are many factors that are the cause for this. Leftovers from cooking, not enough time to eat, or even simply just having some dislikes in food. To be honest, I am a picky eater, so I understand. However, wasting food is just a poor excuse to us, and an even poorer one to the environment. The food cycle doesn't just end at our trash can. It ends in landfills, producing a large amount of methane, an even more powerful greenhouse gas than CO2. In fact, food waste accounts for 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Sustenance that has put so much time, effort, and resource into, thrown away. The food waste is something that we do on a daily basis in our lives, yet I don't believe we realize how much of a threat it truly is. Selena Jewell, founder of the consumer organization Stop Wasting Food, once stated, "When we waste food, we contribute to the loss of biodiversity and the destruction of our ecosystems." This issue is not just about food waste itself. It's about the ticking time bomb we have been ignoring for the past 150 years. So, what can we do? I propose an initiative called the WasteWise program. It's a simple program where classes or even schools can compare and compete in order to waste less. This can be achieved by conducting audits to measure how much food is being wasted on a daily or weekly basis. Then, this data would be displayed to students. This program could be point-based, where points are awarded for effectively wasting less. There could also be extra points for engaging actions such as composting or contributing to a food bank. Schools can identify patterns and also raise awareness about the scale of the issue. Students can be encouraged to take on this program as a healthy challenge. By turning food waste into a measurable, game-like obstacle, we can make the invisible visible. Food waste is not just revolving around education. It's going to be a part of our lives. It's involved in SDGs goals. But it's just ridiculous. How can we unknowingly waste food when there is so much need around the world? Isn't it time for the words actions have consequences to finally start making sense to us? While there are still so many complications to battling this social issue, there is no better time to start dealing with them than now. Wasting food has been our past. Wasting food has been our present. But it is up to us to ensure that wasting food is not our future. Thank you.
ありがとうございました。それでは審査員からの質疑応答に入ります。The Q&A begins now. Ed, I will pass the mic to you.
This might be a tricky question, but waste less might also mean consume more. For example, if the bento boxes are left out over, or the rice balls or the sandwiches, one solution can be consume more and make sure that there's no food waste. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, it is true that if we try to consume more, then that might also become an issue. But in the first place, it's quite absurd that there's two SDGs goals, zero hunger and I think it was like no waste during the consumption and production. That like those two SDGs goals battle the exact opposite issues. So I feel like one part of this program could be that not just consume more, which is great for our bodies, but we could also contribute to food distribution to homeless people or to food banks.
Great, thank you. So I think with giving your response, there's an organization called Table for Two, which if you eat a certain meal or less calories, that will be contributed to meals in developing countries. Given that there's similar solutions like this around food waste and also alleviating poverty, why do you think your solution, why didn't you choose other solutions and choose this one?
I chose this solution because, well, we all go to school, and I found that like there is so much food waste that is occurring within schools, and organizations and things such as Table for Two might not be the solution for those in schools, because like in elementary schools, almost 99% of schools use the kyushoku system that we all know, and it is quite a big factor for food waste. So the WasteWise program can go deep dive into those schools and solve the problem from the inside.
Great, so it's more of an awareness initiative.
Yeah, just raising awareness within the younger generation while making them help cooperate and contribute.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
ありがとうございました。それではここで1分間の審査時間を設けます。Judges, please complete the judge sheet. You have 1 minute. それでは6番目のスピーカーは矢島光健さんです。スピーチタイトルは A Song We Call Home です。光健矢島、you may come up to the stage and begin.
ちょっと待ってください。大丈夫です。ありがとうございます。Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Think back. When was the last time you truly suffered? And what was that? For me, it was heartbreak. At the time, I was always crying inside, but never let it out. But one day, I talked to my mom about it. And at that moment, I felt something lighter in my heart. And that something was the suffering. That was the first time I realized how important it was to open up to someone. And this is not just about heartbreak. This message is for anyone who's carried slight pain in their heart. And there are a lot of people struggling out there. A child confiding at school and is feeling lonely at home. A man who's suffering from a serious illness and losing hope in life. A woman who's tormented by past trauma and still feeling it's hard to live. And moreover, did you know about 10% of people globally face mental health challenges? That means right here in this room, it's likely that 3 of us are silently struggling. Now this must have made you realize the situation. In modern society, the spread of social media has brought about mental instability to those who thought they had nothing to do with it. It caused more loneliness and fear of missing out, mainly to teenagers. So now, mental health is no longer just someone else's problem. And one more thing. What is the one thing that becomes your rock of stability? For me, it's been music. Even in my darkest days, music was always by my side, saving me hundreds of times. And I suppose every single one of you has some experiences of being saved or encouraged by music. Then I thought, what if I could turn suffering into something meaningful? So I combined the 2 elements. Here's my idea. I call it Sing Your Song. And in a process of songwriting, participants will share openly, building trust, connection, and a stronger sense of belonging. And this gives courage to their daily lives. Consequently, it helps to create an inclusive community. And once the song is completed, they'll show it at the local event or post it online. If it's pressed, the initiative can involve more people in music field, medical field, and even education field. Eventually, it will lead to influence beyond music. Moreover, when the song reaches out to someone who's struggling outside, it will encourage them to take the first step towards an authentic relationship. At the same time, it will not only share singing with the world as a form of self-expression, but also break down the stigma surrounding mental health. By then, its impact will already be on a global scale. However, you might wonder, how can we start it? First, we need to find some who show interest. They could be volunteers, local bands, choirs, teachers, doctors, and so on. Next, through local workshop and bulletin boards, we can gradually reach out to those who are in need of support. And together, we put into words all kinds of feelings, joyful memories or painful moments, anything that carries emotion, and weave them into harmony. What if we turn our experiences into someone's hope? Yes, we can. To realize this, we should promote the idea that opening up is no shameful, and that mutual understanding matters. And we have to emphasize that this music is about expression and not just listening. Finally, imagine a world where people feel safe and heard and supported because we chose to sing together. So now, let's create a home through music. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。それでは審査員からの質疑応答に入ります。The Q&A begins now. マキコ先生、please unmute and you may begin your Q&A.
Thank you. Hello, Koken-san. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Okay, so there are two things I love about your speech. One is the encouragement for emotional vulnerability and also music as a practice, not something to be consumed. I love all those. I do want to ask, so how far along are you in this project? What have you done specifically to start this idea of Sing Your Song project?
Yes, the camera is there, right? Yeah, basically, this project came up on my mind just like a couple of months ago. And it was because I had a friend of mine, and she had some kind of disorders. And she once told me about what she feels about it. And the most impressive part of her, telling was that she had a day that she wanted to die. And it was so shocking to me because I've never thought of just, die, because I've always normally living. And of course, and after she told me that, of course I couldn't do nothing to her, but at least maybe I could do something new. And then I thought maybe spreading awareness about this issue might help some people who's struggling right now. So I decided to start this initiative. And why did I chose music with it is simply because I was once helped by music. And so I truly believe music can heal people's feelings directly. Is that all right?
That is all right. How did music help you specifically? Were you listening to it? Were you actually creating songs?
Yeah, it was mainly listening to music. When I was in junior high school, and I had some kind of bad days, bad months, and all I did was just locked in my room and just laying in the bed because I didn't feel like doing nothing. But the one thing that I did was just to put my headphones and just listening to music. It was one of the favorite songs, and just listening to music truly helped my feelings better. And and this thing, it's not only for me. I think it's, I think many people feel the same way when they listen to music. So that's the main reason I believe in music.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。それではここで1分間の審査時間を設けます。Judges, please complete the judge sheet. You have 1 minute. 7番目のスピーカーは青島すみかさんです。スピーチタイトルは A Small Step and a Giant Leap Integrating Young Refugees to Japan's Future です。すみか青島 You may begin.
Good morning. Close your eyes for one moment and paint yourself moving to a foreign country where every detail is unfamiliar, almost alien. Now consider if you're being forced to do so and not by choice. You have to leave your home because your country is no longer safe. No longer the room with the soft bed you snuggle, curled in the warm sheets on a cold night. No longer a place to escape after a long day of school. Now your reality is fear, loneliness, hesitancy, and trauma. The sounds of bombs replaces the silence, and death notices are spreading like wildfire. Where can you find your happiness again? Now look around you. Actually, look around you. Recognize this contrast. This sharp discrepancy is the daily reality of refugees worldwide. Yet in Japan, we continue to struggle to acknowledge and provide support for those seeking a new place they can call home. Japan is globally renowned for its safety and conservative tradition. So when it comes to integrating refugees, our actions stop with donations and charitable services. While countries like Lebanon, Canada, and various European regions actively receive large quantities of refugees year after year, the majority of the countries contribute very little. Japan, for instance, with a population of 123 million people, have only received 16,000 refugees in the past 10 years. That is 0.0013% of its entire population. Given these statistics, it's clear that Japan needs a new approach. And that is why I propose an education-based integration program that supports and solves the global issue of refugees in line. It would be an education-based initiative where we invite young refugees to study alongside our young people, pairing them with students. Not only would this help the individuals, but also the individuals restart their lives in a safer community, but also allow Japan to enrich the community by creating a ripple effect of new ideas and perspectives, a vital necessity in Japan nowadays. The first step I'll take is to host refugees into my house personally and pilot this in internationals and public schools as well. By taking the initiative, not only will I learn and have a global perspective, but also allow more people to have the chain reaction, inspiring them to become involved. It all began with my experience studying abroad in Australia as an exchange student. My host family provided me a safe and supportive environment throughout the entire stay. I hope I can similarly welcome those refugees in and blend them in not only just as friends, but as family. When put into action, this will do more than just impact my family's perspectives, as it will allow Japan to view a more inclusive and diverse society. This can align to the SDGs aspects of quality education, reduce inequalities, and peace and justice. Drawing attention to problems people may not recognize is the key to unlocking global stimuli and peaceful unity. Just by one successful program, it can influence the entire community, creating a nationwide impact. So, wanna come along? Shaping young minds, thinking outside of the box and reaching out, seeing their smiles, learning their past, and building their future. The path of these young, innocent souls can be redeemed just by creating a boulevard of opportunities for them. Japan has a potential to become more than just a donor, but a home to those in need. It is time to create a better system. And just by taking those small little steps, others will follow. As Neil Armstrong famously puts it, it is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Our small changes in lifestyle can lead to massive shifts in society one day. Thank you.
りがとうございました。それでは審査員からの質疑応答に入ります。The Q&A begins now. Sarah, I will pass the mic to you.
Thank you so much, Sumika, for your speech full of love and spreading of your love. I have a question about your plans. You said that you would like to do a prototype by yourself,
Yes.
where you invite refugees to your home. What are the stakeholders who you would have to convince when you do that, when you run your initial project? Who are they?
Well, firstly, it would be the schools that I want to implement, but also a lot of the times it is really difficult to be qualified to become a host family member as well. As well, when I was in Australia as well, it took a lot of preparation, and from the experience, I know how difficult it was for them to actually bring me in. And also, a big stakeholder can be the people affected. And yes, it will become a chain reaction one day and inspire more people to. But then there's also a lot of doubts, and people might be very discriminatory at the beginning. And so, to me, I think it's always about looking forward and becoming positive. And when you see that positivity, the stakeholders aren't really that big. And so, yeah, I think it's just everyone who's new to this atmosphere. But I know that is really possible one day.
Wonderful, thank you. One more. One of the reasons Japan's number of refugees is so low is because of its law, right?
Yeah.
And so there's lots of bottom up that you can do, but also top down approach. Do you think your program could impact the law directly or indirectly?
Well, I think definitely it can. As I said, well, it starts off with small, just by having these small refugees. But the government seeing this and seeing how many people do this, it can possibly lead to laws changing and actually allowing Japan to become very open to global aspects. I think especially since Japan, being an island country itself as well, they're very conservative, and with the past being an isolated country as well. So by actually reaching out and thinking more globally, I think the laws as well can change and go through that top-bottom process, definitely.
Thank you, Sumika.
Thank you so much for the questions.
ありがとうございました。それではここで1分間の審査時間を設けます。Judges, please complete the judge sheet. You have 1 minute.はい、最後のスピーカーは長谷川理子さんです。スピーチタイトルは Reclaiming Education Through Philosophy, A Revival of Free Thought です。Riko Hasegawa, you may come up to the stage and begin.
I'm so nervous after hearing all the amazing speeches. Oh, yes. Is it okay if I stand here and shift my mic a little bit to the right or your left?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Before introducing myself, I would like to ask everyone some questions. What is 1 plus 1? Easy. 2. Why? Because here's 1 and here's another 1. Combined, there would be 2. 1, 2. But can it be something other than 2? Can 1 plus 1 be 1, perhaps? How about 3? Now, you might think I'm crazy. Mathematically, the last two answers were incorrect. But there may be some situations in real life where they can be true. Think of water droplets, for example. When one combines with another, it becomes a single larger droplet. How about starting a family? There needs to be 2 people to reproduce, making a family of 3, 4, or even 5. The list goes on. You might wonder, what's the point of all this? Free thought. Hello, I'm Rika Hasegawa, and allow me to call myself a philosophy advocate. Today, I would like to promote doing philosophy in education, a way in which we could realize free thought. What's free thought anyway? This is the ability to create ideas and thoughts that are independent of authority, norms, and such principles as 1 plus 1 equals 2. It is undoubtedly a skill that, in simple words, makes a world a better place. It's a skill embraced by the leaders of this world, as it demonstrates a high level of critical and creative thinking by challenging assumptions and analyzing the world through one's logical lens. However, there's a problem. Nowadays, children, the future of this world, don't think enough. In this era of technology, most children exceed the recommended screen time by age, which is negatively affecting their cognitive development. This is scientifically proven by countless studies, including the Pediatrics and Child Health Journal, which states that prolonged screen exposure and use is associated with decreasing a child's opportunities to develop optimally and with lower cognitive abilities. In Japan, other significant factors contribute to this problem, including education. Though education is a place for students to study and prepare themselves to enter the world, Japan has overall kept this traditional lecture style, where students copy what is written on the board and memorize the information for upcoming tests. In such a system, do students exercise free thought? No. They're expected to be correct on the answer, but not thoughtful or creative. So how should education promote free thought? I would suggest doing philosophy in the form of discussion. Philosophical discussion allows students to question what is accepted as normal, and since there's no single right answer, students can freely explore different ideas. Unlike a debate, which attempts to beat the other side with better argumentation, doing philosophy aims to get closer to the truth through critical, creative, caring, and collaborative thinking. Thus, not only is free thought exercised through doing philosophy, but also the class is brought together by the students sharing their ideas in the discussions. The implementation may not be just as simple as offering philosophical discussions during classes. For example, teachers may lack skills in effectively facilitating the discussions, and students may not be intrinsically motivated to think in a school setting. Nevertheless, there are already organizations to promote doing philosophy in Japan, such as Ada Koda. This NGO offers philosophical discussions among students by collaborating with schools, and it also offers teachers and educators with facilitation interventions. I'm grateful to share with you that I have been interning at this NGO for over a year and a half. Along with other interns, I have hosted online philosophical discussions for middle school, high school, and university students. Outside of the organization, I have facilitated philosophical discussions at my school with another classmate. Since 5th grade, I have also been attending philosophical discussions every week at GLIC, a preparatory school in Tokyo. Last October, I started making blog posts on the school's website in hopes of reaching a greater audience who may be interested in joining the discussions. Currently, I want to believe that I am creating an impact on people around me by advocating for philosophy through my internship and other activities. However, in the future, I want every child in Japan to have this opportunity to engage in free thought. To do so, I will continue to be a philosophy advocate and find new ways to make doing philosophy more available to the public. Thank you very much.
あ りがとうございました。それでは審査員からの質疑応答に入ります。The Q&A begins now. マキコ先生、I will pass the mic to you.
Yes. Hello, Riko-san. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. So would you tell us a little bit more about your exact role in Ardacoda? I love the name.
Yes. My exact role in Ardacoda would probably be a leader in the entire interns, a community of interns, because I've been interning there the longest. And in that sense, I have actually participated in selecting the interns for the current intern program, ruling out some characteristics that would help improve the community and whatnot. I've also been part of the advertising team in Ardacoda, where I manage guidelines for social media publishing or website publishing. So I actually look over all the texts and posts from Ardacoda, not just for the interns, but also for just Ardacoda organization itself. And I look into their posts, I make revisions, and I finalize the drafts.
Thank you. That's fantastic. And why do you think it is that Japanese education lack this place, opportunities for free thought?
I would say Japanese education typically lacks in engaging in free thought because we don't have a lot of opportunities to engage in discussions and during classes. And even if we were able to engage in discussions, probably what the students are doing is to just get away with it. So we just provide satisfying answers to the teachers and just talk with friends the rest of the time. That was what I have seen other classmates do. So we're not really seriously engaging in discussions. We just want the participation points, and that's it. But also the teachers themselves do not really emphasize on creativity per se. They're also looking for specific answers within the discussions. And we're also expecting to answer what they're expecting us to answer. So that feedback is, I think, what's preventing Japan from actually engaging in free thought. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting.
ありがとうございました。それではここで1分間の審査時間を設けます。Judges, please complete the judge sheet. You have 1 minute. 以上で全ての出場者のスピーチが終わりました。大変お疲れ様でした。ここで審査員は別室でジャッジタイムに入ります。審査員の皆様、別室へのご移動をお願いいたします。会場の皆様におかれましては、ただいまより15分間の休憩がございます。お手洗いは、会場の入り口手前にございますので、ご利用ください。12時10分よりです。12時15分より表彰式を開催いたしますので、今しばらくお待ちください。 表式ですが12時20分頃からにさせていただきますので、もう少々お待ちください。お手洗いで、ご利用いただいて大丈夫です。 それではジャッジタイムは終了いたしました。このままですね、結果発表に行きたいと思います。松田祐介さん、井上沙羅さん、壇上にお願いいたします。今回、表彰状とトロフィーをご用意しておりますが、今回本日お渡しするトロフィーはですね、本日のみの便宜上のものと今はなっておりますが、きちんと3位、2位、1位の皆様には今後お名前を彫ってですね、後ほどまたお届けしますので、ご了承いただければと思います。よろしくお願いいたします。
実際井上さんがもらったトロフィーですか？どちらですか？
これはですね、大学の時のホノルル市長杯の全日本の時
そう演技的に、
素敵なのが用意されてますので、
それでは、松田さん、発表をお願いいたします。
はい、非常に悩み抜きました、けれども、今から、第3位から、発表していきたいと思います。第3位、七海慶章さんで The Lies We Leave Unspoken です。おめでとうございます。
七海慶章さん、ステージにお上がりください。
はい、おめでとうございます。一緒にね、3人。
はい。
はい、ということで第2位に入っていきたいと思います。第2位でございますが、カノン菅原さんで Food Waste in Japanese Schools です。おめでとうございます。
ごめんなさい、もう一度写真撮ります。牧子先生も入ります。
はい、撮ります。はい、チーズ。はい、もう一枚いきます。はい、チーズ。はい、ありがとうございます。
はい、ということで、栄えある第1位、でございますけれども、住川青島さんで A Small Step and a Giant Leap Integrating Young Refugees to Japan's Future でございます。おめでとうございます。
入賞者の皆様おめでとうございます。そして今回トップ3位に入らなかった皆様におかれましても、本当にたくさんの応募の中からファイナリスト8名に選ばれたことは素晴らしい成果だと思っています。本日素晴らしい感動的なスピーチ、本当にありがとうございました。皆様の成果も Certificate of Achievement の授与を持ってここでぜひ称えたいと思いますので、順番に皆様のお名前をお呼びいたします。呼ばれましたら壇上にお上がりください。まず柳瀬健太さん。谷遥さん、お願いします。続きましてチェン・ニコルさん、お願いします。続きまして矢島光健さん。続きまして長谷川理子さん。ではここで全体の集合写真もこのまま一度お撮りしたいと思いますので、皆さん8名の皆様表彰状を持ってこちらにお上がりください。
じゃあこっち向いてください。はい、チーズ。はい、もう一枚取ります。はい、チーズ。はい、もう一回だけ。はい、チーズ。あ、ちょっと待ってください。後ろの方がもしよければ、彼女はもうちょっと。
ありがとうございました。では皆様お戻りください。ここでですね、審査員の皆様よりお一人ずつコメントをいただきたいと思います。はい、まずは、井上沙羅さんよりコメントをお願いいたします。
今日は本当にお疲れ様でした。みんなおめでとうございます。本当に英語のレベルが高くてですね、英語というよりはもう本当にみんな英語はレベルを超えていたので、格差をつけるというよりはどちらかというとデリバリーとコンテンツの方をしっかりと見ていきました。私はじゃあデリバリーを中心にお話しすると、そうですね、やはりアイコンタクトをしっかりしているということ、あとはすごく大事だなというふうに感じたのが立ち方とか、あとは手の動きっていうのがいかに自然であるかっていうのが見てる側としてとても重要だなと感じました。そしてですね、もう一つとても大事になったのが、ペースとトーンです。例えばずっと強いトーンで話すとか、ずっと同じ平坦なトーンで話すというよりは、感情を込める場所、その適切な文章ごとに少しずつ緩急を持っていたというところはとてもというところが点数の違いに結びついていったかなというふうに思います。本当にレベルがとっても高くてですね、私たちすごく迷いました。素晴らしいスピーチをありがとうございます。
はい、お疲れ様でした。本当に心動くプレゼンテーション、でございました。私はですね、2010年からもう15年ぐらいになりますけれども、ずっと社会課題の解決をテーマに、ずっと起業家としてキャリアを進めてきています。NPO もいくつか立ち上げてきてますし、いろんな営利事業であったとしても社会的なインパクトを常に意識しながらずっと経営をしてきております。でその中でですね、NPO の経営者の時に常に感じていたことなんですけれども、社会課題の解決というのは、非常に難易度が高いということですね。通常のビジネスの仕組みでは解決できない課題が残っていて、そこにクリエイティブな発想と強い思いでですね取り組んでいく必要があると。で、お金のバリュー、お客様からお金をもらうことができない、つまり課題として苦しんでいる人たちはですね、お金を払うことができないことが往々にしてあると、そういったものは社会課題として残る。でそういう状況なんですよね。じゃあお金をいただいて課題解決できないということをどうするかというと、世の中の共感を集いながら、共感を集ってですね、人物金を世の中から集めていきながら課題解決をしていくということが大事であって、でそれをやるためにスピーチであったり、人に話をしていく、自分の思いを伝えていくということが一番の本質になってくるんですね。でその時にはまだ皆さんもそうかもしれませんけれども、今自分はアイディアとして始まっている。なんだけどそのアイディアを実際に人に話をすることで、共感者が集い仲間になってくれて、その仲間と一緒にやっていくからこそ、プロダクトが作られたりだとか、プログラムが作られていったりだとか、実際にそういったワークショップを開催できたりだとかっていうところにつながっていく、アクションにつながっていくんですね。なので引き続きですね、皆さん今日ねこの場で発表してもらってますけれども、引き続きずっと発信し続ける努力はしていってほしいなと思いますし、その中で仲間を集いながら今日発表してくれたアイディアをですね具体的な形にしていけるように頑張ってほしいなと思ってますし、私も応援していきたいなと思っております。お疲れ様でした。
続きまして、真紀子先生、コメントをお願いいたします。
はい、皆さん大変お疲れ様でした。私はすごくアメリカが長くて、中2からずっとアメリカなので、このように日本の高校生が世界の将来に思って、こんなに情熱を持っていろいろ考えているっていうことは、触れることができただけでもすごく元気をもらってありがたかったです。2つ言いたいことがあります。ちょっと厳しいように聞こえるかもしれないんですけれども、今、松田さんがおっしゃった人物金を動かすためのスピーチということ、スピーチだけではない、これからいろいろ皆さんされると思うんですけれども、その時に、自己陶酔を オーセンティシティと間違えてはいけないということだと思います。何かコミュニケートをするときにただ単に正直であればいいというのは違うと思います。これはパフォーマーと、私はピアニストですのでパフォーマーとしても言うんですけれども、常に自分には厳しく他人には優しくという視点からデリバリーをしなければ人物金は動かないというふうに思ってくださったら、いろいろなことがもっと前に動くんじゃないかなというふうに思います。それからもう一つ、この本は私がとっても大事に思っている本でいろんな人に勧めているんですけれども、水村みなえさんの日本語が滅びる時という本があります。英語にも翻訳されていて、なんだっけ、The Fall of Language in the Age of English というふうな英題で売れています。この本は今英語というものが特にインターネットの普及とともに世界の言語、世界的な会話に加わろうと思ったら英語を喋らなければいけないというふうになっているけれども、そこでロスするものっていうのは何なのかということを問うているんですね。で、皆さんは英語が本当に他者で素晴らしいけれども、例えば日本にルーツを持っている、若い方々として他に何を自分に求めるべきなのかっていうことを、英語を磨くだけではなく他のことを磨くということも頭に置いて考えていただけたら、もっともっと複雑に自分を発展することができるんじゃないかなと思います。今日は本当にいろいろ勇気と元気をいただきました。ありがとうございます。
入賞者の皆様、本当におめでとうございます。皆様、もう一度大きな拍手をお送りください。審査員の皆様もコメントありがとうございました。お席にお戻りください。ではコンテストの終了前に審査員の牧子先生よりもう一言閉会のご挨拶をさせていただきます。牧子先生、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
はい、まずソーシャルインパクト English スピーチコンテストを、開催なさってくださったジュンナさん、そしてひなさん、そして一緒にご審査をしていただいたサラさん、エドさんにお礼を申し上げたいと思います。ありがとうございます。それから、今日ご参加なさった皆さん、8名のファイナリストの方々、本当にこれからの日本、そして世界の希望を垣間見せてくれるような熱情と、すごい決意だと思います。を見せていただいて、ありがとうございます。これからも皆さんの、そういうパッションっていうのを大事に、たくさんの人に触れるように、curiosity 探求心、というものを忘れずに、どんどん前に外に広がっていってくれたら嬉しいと思います。私は、いろいろなご縁がありまして、スタンフォードの、スパイスというプログラムを通じて、エドさんと一緒に、スタンフォード、e-entrepreneurship Japan 社会企業の、プログラムをオンラインで教えさせていただいています。皆さんのスピーチを聞きながら、こういうたくさんのいろいろな、なんていうか、ボックスの外から考えられるような人をもっともっとたくさん知って、もっともっといろいろ意見交換をして、もっともっと世界を一緒に良くしていきたいなというふうに、勇気と元気をたくさんもらいました。こういう機会を、設けてくださったソーシャルインパクトイングリッシュスピーチコンテストの皆さん、そして皆さんを育ててくださった、親御さん、親戚の方々、お友達、そしてコミュニティの皆さんにも全部感謝を表明して、今日の閉会の言葉とさせていただきたいと思います。本当にありがとうございました。
牧子先生、どうもありがとうございました。私も一言ぜひお話しさせていただきたいと思うんですけれども、今回ですね、Social Impact English Speech Contest、実はこのNPO 一般社団法人は1年ほどかけてちょっと 立ち上げをさせていただきました。でそこにはやっぱりたくさんの思いが詰まっていて、単なるやっぱりスピーチコンテストではなくソーシャルインパクトというふうにこの団体名、このコンテスト名つけたのは、やっぱり中高生、未来を担う中高生の皆さんに社会課題って何なのかっていうところに向き合って、でそしてこのロゴにも反映されている、デザインに反映されているんですけど、一人ではやっぱり解決できない問題が世の中にはたくさんある。だから人と手を取り合って、でコレクティブインパクトですよね、インパクトを最大化していくための第一歩になるような、そういうコンテストにしたいという思いがたくさん詰まっています。でそれを皆さん本当に気持ちを込めて、今日たくさん素晴らしいスピーチを聞かせていただいて、私も途中うるうるするぐらいすごい感動しました。なのでそこは本当にこの準備すごく時間かかったと思います。みんなほぼもう暗記してパフォーマンスも素晴らしかったので、そこは私からも大変感謝申し上げます。そしてこのそうですね NPO の設立コンテストの運営に関わってくださった理事の高橋ひなさん、そして篠原萌音さん、そしてスタッフの柏浦徹さん、岡田恵里さん、そしてディランとダニエルさんもですね、本当にご協力どうもありがとうございました。それではそうですね、私からも閉会の言葉とさせていただきました。どうもありがとうございます。最後にですね、いくつか事務局よりご案内をさせてください。ソーシャルインパクトイングリッシュスピーチコンテストは今後継続的に開催を実施していく予定です。次回のスピーチコンテスト2025 Summer ですね、夏の本選の開催は9月15日を予定をすでにしております。次回のコンテストのフライヤーもお渡しできますので、ぜひファイナリストの皆さんより他の生徒にもですね、周知をお願いできましたら大変嬉しく思いますので、ぜひお持ち帰りいただければと思います。そして本日ご参加いただいた皆様も、ライブ配信をご視聴いただいている皆様もおりました。本当にありがとうございます。そして次回応募までにまた時間がありますので、そうですね、本選に来られなかった生徒の皆様も視聴しているかもしれません。ぜひ表現の力、そして社会的なインパクトを追求する力を養うためにですね、具体的な行動をぜひ起こしてみてください。最後に終了にあたりまして皆様にご連絡事項がございます。時間がだいぶ負けているので時間があるんですけれども、一応ですね1時、20分頃までレセプションを会場後方にて行いたいと思います。なので、審査員や他の出場者様との交流の場にぜひご活用いただきたいと思っています。真紀子先生とも、1時20分まで一応お話ができるようにブースを設置しますので、ぜひこの機会に参加者の皆様話をいただければと思います。お帰りの際はお忘れ物のないようお気をつけてお帰りください。ではこれをもちまして本日のソーシャルインパクト全国英語スピーチコンテスト2025春の本選を終了いたします。本日はどうもありがとうございました。